Yeah, listen, I don't think Canelo wants to fight speedy guys who box off the back foot and counter punch. That's why I think he liked the Munguia fight and he likes the Berlanga fight, because they're two guys that will come face on and have a war with him. Do you know what I mean? And he likes those kind of fights. He doesn't like... he was just...
Two fighters, one ring, and millions watching. This could be the most talked about fight of the decade. Terence Crawford, a 4-division world champion, is known for his sharp technique and ruthless precision. On the other side, Canelo Alvarez, the super middleweight king, has overwhelmed his opponents with sheer power and relentless pressure. Interviewed
versus Crawford, the biggest fight in the game.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, like when you looking at Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis, this is the next thing beyond.
It's the kind of fight that keeps boxing fans on edge. But what if the real action has already taken place behind closed doors? Rumors are swirling about leaked sparring footage between these legends, possibly giving a glimpse of what their showdown could bring.
Crawford, I see he wants to fight. He's made it clear. Do fights like that help your legacy, or do you feel like that's something that's not worth it to you?
Everything in my career, every fight make my legacy different.
The excitement around this fight is undeniable, with whispers growing louder. Insiders suggest it could happen as soon as September, possibly in Las Vegas, the city famous for legendary bouts. The Ring reports that negotiations are heating up and fans are eagerly anticipating the clash. However, not everyone in boxing is convinced. Experts like renowned coach Abel Sanchez have strongly rejected the idea of Crawford versus Canelo, calling it ridiculous. Sanchez, who guided Gennady Golovkin to middleweight greatness, didn't hold back in his criticism, saying it's not a real fight in an interview with Co-Sports TV. His reasoning, the significant weight difference. This comes despite Crawford's dominant victory over Errol Spence Jr. to unify the welterweight division.
You know, being that you obviously, again, appealing Team Crawford, can you confirm? Are we going to see that fight? Has it been made official? Is it official?
It's on, baby. September 13, baby. Look forward to it. Crawford versus Canelo. Listen how I said it.
Hey, are we getting this confirmation here first?
You understand? Yeah, it's confirmed. Man, what?
Say less.
Crawford versus Canelo, not the other way around. Team Crawford, stand up, pound for pound, the best.
Let's break it down with the numbers. Crawford's career has been built in the lighter divisions, starting at lightweight and working his way up to super welterweight. Canelo, however, has packed on muscle over the years, conquering middleweight, super middleweight, and even claiming a light heavyweight belt. That's a lot of power for Crawford to handle. Sanchez went even further, saying Crawford hasn't changed much. He's still the same fighter he was at 135 or 147 pounds. He's good, no doubt, but not big enough to handle a powerhouse like Canelo at the higher weights. It's a tough critique, but it's grounded in reality. Canelo's evolution has been clear, adjusting his style to dominate in each weight class while maintaining his signature explosiveness.
The only thing I see that I favor Canelo is that, you know, his weight.
Yeah.
And that he's more bigger. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing. But as far as skill set wise, IQ, I feel like Crawford could match anybody and probably do way better. You know what I'm saying? But you know, Crawford is a legend, bro.
Yeah.
You know, and like I said.
Then there's the issue of destruction. Sanchez pointed out that while Crawford is a technical genius, his knockouts don't pack the same punch as Canelo's. Crawford beats opponents like Errol Spence, but Spence wasn't the same fighter anymore. Canelo, on the other hand, is dominating everyone in his path. It's a whole different level of power. Despite the skepticism, there's no denying the fight's appeal. It's a money-making spectacle. Crawford's precise skills versus Canelo's. Raw strength is a story that practically writes itself. Fans would pack into Vegas or watch from home, making it a major event. But Sanchez isn't convinced the hype will translate into a legitimate contest.
What do you think about Terence Crawford calling out Canelo?
You know, I don't like that fight.
Why not?
I don't like that fight. It's just too much weight, you know. And he had a close fight with the last guy he fought, Terence, because this guy was big.
Sure, it'll sell tickets, but is it a fair fight? Sanchez didn't hold back, saying it's not. He pointed out that boxing has seen matches that felt more like a spectacle than a true competition, like Mayweather versus McGregor. Entertaining, but hardly competitive. Still, Crawford isn't one to shy away from challenges. His rise through the weight classes shows just how skilled and adaptable he is. When he faced Errol Spence Jr., many doubted he could handle the size and strength of a natural welterweight, but Crawford shut down those doubts in spectacular fashion, outboxing and overpowering Spence to score a dominant stoppage victory.
Bivol fight. You can say who you think is going to win. You can't say like, oh man, I'm surprised the Bivol won, or I'm surprised the Beterbiev won. You're like, man, that's a damn good fight. So-and-so won. So kind of how I feel about the David and Canelo fight, like who had the best camp? Who has the best game?
Canelo, however, is a whole different beast. The Mexican icon has faced bigger, harder-hitting opponents and come out on top. Whether it was his epic battles with Gennady Golovkin, his methodical dismantling of Callum Smith, or his jump to light heavyweight to dethrone Sergey Kovalev, Canelo has repeatedly proven he thrives against the odds. But here's the wild card, the rumored sparring footage. Reports suggest Crawford and Canelo might have already exchanged blows in a private gym session, giving fans a sneak peek of how their styles might clash. Did Crawford's precision catch Canelo off guard? Or did Canelo's power make Crawford reconsider stepping up in weight? Though nothing official has surfaced, the rumors have fans breaking down every detail. Crawford's camp is staying quiet, but some insiders claim he held his own, landing sharp combinations that highlighted his speed and accuracy. On the other hand, some say Canelo's bone-crushing body shots left Crawford struggling for answers. If the video is real, it's only fueling the excitement. A fight that was already a hot topic is now a must-see event, with both fighters' reputations on the line. Timing is key though. Canelo has some challengers lined up, including Cuban fighter William the Skull, who's viewed as a warm-up. Meanwhile, Crawford has options at super welterweight, but none are as big or legacy-defining as a showdown with Canelo. Promoter Eddie Hearn believes September in Vegas is the perfect time and place for this fight, aligning with boxing's tradition of marquee matchups under the lights of Sin City. I'd beat him, no question in my mind, said Terence Crawford with unwavering confidence when asked about a potential fight with Canelo Alvarez. The undefeated champ seems fearless, despite the obvious size, weight, and power differences between him and the Mexican legend. But how realistic is Crawford's confidence? And does it even matter, considering the challenges in making this fight a reality? Crawford understands what's at stake. He knows Canelo is more than just another opponent. He's a superstar, a cash cow who earns paydays most fighters only dream of. Crawford believes this fight would benefit both men, not only financially, but also in terms of their legacies. We're both giving away something, but we're both getting something at the same time, Crawford told TMZ Sports.
Tell you like this, I think Crawford rebuttal was everybody always say he hasn't fought nobody, or everybody that he fought was a no name. But I'm gonna tell you like this, what Crawford said. Well, there was something until Crawford fought him. So obviously he's doing a great job because he's making everybody look normal.
Apparently no rehydration clause, am I hearing that right? He wants full smoke at that weight.
Let's go, man.
However, Crawford is quick to acknowledge that the ball is in Canelo's court. Canelo has his own plan. Crawford admitted, almost as if he's accepted the possibility that Canelo might prioritize other fights. And it's true, Canelo has plenty of options. David Benavidez, Dmitry Bivol, Artur Beterbiev, and even Gervonta Davis are all big names that make more business sense for the Mexican star. Despite Crawford's dominance, he doesn't have the same PPV drawing power that Canelo does. Promoter Eddie Hearn even suggested that Crawford might retire if the Canelo fight doesn't happen. It's a bold prediction, but it highlights the tricky situation Crawford finds himself in. If he waits too long for Canelo, he risks fading into obscurity. Boxing rewards activity, and Crawford knows that. Yet, his recent inactivity, combined with his focus on beating Canelo, puts him in a precarious position. Then there's the question of style. Crawford isn't known for his crowd-pleasing knockouts. His approach is more calculated, with a Mayweather-like emphasis on defensive mastery and patience over brawling. While it's a successful style, it hasn't exactly won over casual fans. It's effective, but it can sometimes leave audiences feeling disengaged. His recent fight with Erislandy Lara is a prime example. Fans booed, critics were harsh, and the fight left more questions than answers. Some even argue that Crawford owes Lara a rematch to settle lingering doubts about the outcome.
They say like, no, that's 2 more weight classes. Like once he gets touched by Canelo, it's gonna be different.
I am concerned about him absorbing a Canelo punch, especially through the course of 12 rounds. We do know this about Canelo. He's gonna slow down, you know, so I think...
Canelo, on the other hand, has built his reputation on excitement. Whether it's his brutal knockouts or his willingness to face dangerous opponents across multiple weight classes, he's proven himself as the king of thrilling fights, the kind of boxer fans love to watch. If Crawford versus Canelo happens, it's likely Crawford will rely on the tactics used by Mayweather and Dimitri Bivol to beat Canelo, using his jab, movement, and pot shots while clinching. It's a successful strategy, but it could also rob the fight of the fireworks fans expect from such a high-profile matchup. Crawford, however, doesn't see it that way. He believes a fight with Canelo would be electrifying. It won't be like any other fight I've fought recently, Crawford said confidently. Whether that's true depends on how much risk Crawford is willing to take. Will he face Canelo head-on or play it safe with his hit-and-run tactics? Only time will tell. One of the biggest obstacles to making this fight happen is the venue. Crawford rejected the idea of fighting at the 8,600-seat Sphere in Las Vegas, saying it's too small. He hinted at the possibility of the fight being staged in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, where boxing's new financial backer, His Excellency Turki Ali, has been funding major events. But even that seems unlikely unless Canelo's astronomical asking price is met. Crawford seems to understand this, but remains hopeful. I would hope it would be somewhere that benefits both parties, he said diplomatically.
The Sheik said that he would be willing to pay whatever you want to fight Crawford. Yeah.
If he's willing to pay whatever I want, comes down.
That'll work. So if yeah, you're in. So if the number...
Crawford's confidence in beating Canelo isn't just about self-belief. It's also about sending a message. By publicly declaring his readiness to face the Mexican superstar, he's putting pressure on Canelo to respond. But the reality is, Canelo doesn't need Crawford. He can make more money fighting other opponents, and he doesn't have the same urgency to prove himself against a smaller man. While Crawford is talented, he doesn't bring the same level of excitement or financial reward to the table. So where does that leave Crawford? If he's serious about facing Canelo, he may need to take a more strategic approach. Staying active is key. Fighting 3 or 4 times a year, as some have suggested, would keep his name in the headlines and build momentum. Moving up to 168 pounds and facing top contenders like David Benavidez, David Morrell, or Jermall Charlo could also strengthen his case as a potential opponent for Canelo. However, Crawford seems hesitant to take those steps. Instead, he's relying on his reputation and undefeated record to lure Canelo into the ring. It's a risky strategy that may not pay off. Canelo is bigger than me and stronger than me, Crawford admitted, acknowledging the physical disadvantages he'd face. But he's quick to add, if he does decide to come my way and we get in the ring, we'll be ready. Critics, however, remain skeptical. Abel Sanchez, the veteran coach who once guided Gennady Golovkin, dismissed the fight as unrealistic. He points to the 14-pound weight gap between the two fighters, arguing that Crawford hasn't evolved enough to compete at the higher weight. Crawford is a great fighter, but he's been the same boxer from 135 to 147, Sanchez said. Canelo has continued to improve as he's moved through the divisions. That's the difference.
All the crazy stuff about me going up and having a tough time, but he went up in weight and lost. That's the difference. I went up weight and won. He went up and lost. You know, so let's not do that, Canelo.
Even if Crawford secures the fight, the big question remains, can he deliver? He struggled to convince some with his recent performance. And if he brings the same level of fight against Canelo, it's hard to see how he could come out on top. Yet Crawford remains undeterred. There's no question in my mind that I can beat anyone I step in the ring with, he said. It's a bold statement, underscoring his unwavering belief in his skills. For now, the ball is in Canelo's court. Crawford can talk all he wants, but unless the Mexican star sees value in the fight, it's unlikely to happen. Even if it does, Crawford will have to prove he's more than just talk. He'll need to back up his words with action, taking risks, staying active, and showing the world that he's not just a great fighter, but a fighter who can adapt, evolve, and rise to the occasion.
Fight, you know, realistically left your mind once he said he's not interested, or you still pursuing it?
Not at all. You know, I think business talk. You know, with the right business come across the table, you know, it happens. I just be talking, man. Canelo a big dude, you know what I mean? But at the same time, I believe in my...
Trainer Jose Benavidez Sr. didn't hold back when discussing the potential matchup between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford. For him, it's not just about preference, it's about fairness and size. He completely dismissed the idea, saying such a fight wouldn't be competitive and that it would feel almost absurd to consider Crawford, a four-time world champion, as a viable opponent for Canelo. Jose Sr.'s frustration wasn't just about the potential fight itself, but also the broader dynamics of boxing matchmaking. He believes fighters like his son, David Benavidez, deserve bigger opportunities but are being overlooked.
Really like to bash somebody because at the end of the day, I give respect to Canelo. He's a great fighter. Yeah. He's one of the best Mexican fighters of all time.
But wanting to fight him, David, is not bashing him.
Yeah.
That's not bashing him.
But that's what I'm saying. They spin the narrative on Instagram.
Right.
If I say something, they say this or that. But
from Jose Benavidez Sr.'s perspective, Canelo is simply too big and strong for Crawford. His remarks showed clear disdain for what he views as a mismatch, calling the potential fight one-sided and questioning its logic. He emphasized that his son, David Benavidez, would never entertain such a fight, considering it beneath his level. In fact, he even said he would feel embarrassed to request such a matchup for his son. Jose Sr. doubled down on his belief that Crawford doesn't belong in the same conversation as larger fighters like Canelo or David Benavidez. What fueled his frustration even more was the fact that Canelo seemed open to the idea of a fight with Crawford, but hadn't shown the same interest in facing David Benavidez. To Jose Sr., this felt like a slap in the face, especially given the efforts David has made to prove himself as a legitimate contender. He pointed out that Canelo has avoided his son not because of merit, but because of personal feelings about how David approached him. Canelo allegedly disliked David's aggressive tactics and trash talk in trying to secure a fight, which has kept the two from facing off in the ring. Now, Jose Sr. is fully focused on training David for his upcoming fight against David Morrell. He called it one of the toughest matchups of David's career and stressed the importance of not underestimating Morrell, who has proven himself to be a dangerous young fighter, with Benavidez holding the WBC interim light heavyweight title and Morrell being the WBA regular champion. The stakes are high, and the Benavidez team is treating it with the seriousness it deserves. For Jose Sr., this fight is the priority. Forget about Canelo, Crawford, and the ongoing debates over who gets what in boxing.
Canelo's gonna put the beats on him like Dr. Dre.
Do we get a knockdown from Canelo, or does Bud knock down Canelo?
Nah, Canelo's not going down. You could hit Canelo with a Louisville slugger. He's just gonna smile at you.
They ain't say gonna beat him like the beats of Dr. Dre.
Yeah, he's gonna put the beats on him like Dre.
But why? Because
despite his frustrations with Canelo's apparent reluctance to face Benavidez, Jose Benavidez Sr. didn't entirely rule out the idea of a future fight. He acknowledged the efforts of Saudi businessman Turki Alik in making major fights happen, and expressed hope that, down the line, a matchup between Canelo and Benavidez might eventually come to fruition. However, he made it clear that for now, his full attention is on David Morrell, the upcoming opponent for his son. Jose Sr.'s confidence in David's abilities is unwavering, but he recognizes the challenges ahead and refuses to let distractions derail their preparation. His stance on Canelo and Crawford reflects deeper issues in boxing, including the politics of matchmaking, the prioritization of money over merit, and the influence of personalities on fight negotiations. For someone like Jose Sr., who has dedicated his career to developing fighters like David Benavidez, these factors are incredibly frustrating. He sees his son as a fighter who has earned his place at the top, but is being denied the opportunities he deserves because of forces beyond his control. Jose Sr.'s criticism of the potential Canelo-Crawford fight also highlights the ongoing debate about weight classes and fairness in boxing. While Crawford is undoubtedly skilled and accomplished, moving up to face someone like Canelo, who has proven himself at super middleweight and beyond, raises questions about the competitive balance. For Jose Sr., it's not just about whether Crawford could hold his own, it's about whether such a fight even makes sense. He believes the size disparity between the two is too significant to ignore, and that a fight between them would only highlight that difference rather than delivering a truly competitive spectacle.
Can go down anymore, but you know, like he say, you know, when they ask him for the Germonta fight, they don't wanna get credit for that fight. It's the same for me. I don't need to take that fight because everybody's gonna say it's too small, it's too small, it's too small, and then, you know, he needs to enjoy his fight.
Adding to his frustration is the perception that Canelo is cherry-picking opponents instead of taking on the toughest challenges available. While Canelo has faced a long list of top-tier fighters throughout his career, critics like Jose Sr. argue that he has avoided certain matchups that could pose a real threat. The fact that Canelo seems more interested in fighting Crawford than Benavidez only fuels this narrative, making it even harder for Jose Sr. to hide his disappointment. Despite his frustration with the current state of boxing, Jose Sr. hasn't entirely lost hope. He expressed some optimism about the potential for big fights in the future, particularly with the involvement of influential figures like Turki Alik. However, he made it clear that he's done waiting for Canelo to step up and face his son. For now, the focus is on building David Benavidez's legacy through other means. If Canelo continues to avoid the matchup, so be it. What do you think? Share your ideas below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more information. See you in the next one.